Right now, let's talk about, tit for tat from, it's interesting, from Donald Trump, his plan to tackle the border, particularly the Mexican border. He's talking about tariffs, isn't he? Massive 20% tariffs on not just Canada, but Mexico as well. If they don't deal with illegal migration, I would have thought more people coming from Mexico than Canada. I wonder if we would try that. I doubt we will. We're going for a very different tack in terms of tackling these things. Ministers are announcing today millions in extra funding for lawyers. I know. To represent asylum seekers to help clear the backlog of appeals that is blocking efforts to move migrants out of hotels, because, of course, we want to all get these people all just approved and getting into paying for their own accommodation, of course, on their massive wages as engineers, astronauts, brain surgeons, which is what we know they all are, of course. Stephen Woolfe joins us. He's Director of the Centre for Migration and Economic Prosperity. Good morning to you, Stephen.
Good morning, Julia.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. So we're looking at rather more carrot than we are stick than we're seeing over in America on dealing with this issue. We're stopping the boats. We're smashing the gangs. We're also basically the people who are already here basically saying we're going to pay millions of pounds for all your legal aid to try and get you through the system quickly so we can get you out of those hotels, and then everything will be fine and no one will notice and we won't talk about it anymore. Is that plan going to work?
Well, no, it's not.
There you are. Thank you. We'll go to the news.
It can't, because of the numbers that are generally coming in across the channel anyway. So that's going to keep topping up those making the claims for asylum. Basically, we've had over 1 million since the year 2000. But It does strike me as really funny in the way that Keir Starmer's approach, as you say, is about giving more money to lawyers, those who do legal aid. And it's odd that he founded a chambers in London of barristers that did human rights law, including legal aid claims for asylum appeals.
Fancy that.
I'm praying for 1 minute that he's doing this to help his friends out.
No.
Do you know that £580 million, that's over £500 million has been spent on legal aid for those in asylum and immigration claims since the year 2009.
That is a huge sum of money. And again, there are so many Britons who don't get access to legal aid. The rules are very, very strict in terms of getting access to legal aid. I know people fighting, horrific sort of divorces. I mean, women who've had to crowdfund to get, bring cases to stop their sort of paedophile partners having access to their kids. I mean, we are talking about no legal aid help for them. But look, these people, they come here ostensibly having just paid £3 grand, £5 grand to a people smuggler, are penniless and therefore need our help. But why do these cases cost so much? How much does each case cost? Because there are lots of different stages, aren't there? I mean, certainly until now. We've got almost 63,000 cases at the end of September where their claims awaiting an outcome at the first-tier tribunal courts, where most asylum appeals are considered. That's more than doubled in a year. But, of course, these all go through a lot of stages. So what does an average case cost before it's settled one way or the other?
It's difficult to say, but I would say, looking at the numbers where you've got the first tier, where about 70% of all claims actually are refused. And so that's where they start kicking into the second tier and now they've reduced that to go to the immigration tribunal for appeals.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere in the region of around 100,000 per case.
Ouch.
When you look at that.
And the whole time we're paying for their accommodation as well, and their food and basic living costs.
Yes, and that's why we come up with that number when I did the basic research and put the numbers out, which was ridiculed at the time for about 2 years ago, for about £8 billion a year. But yet in the budget this year, it was actually announced that it's going to cost £40 billion over 5 years, which is, lo and behold, £8 billion a year. And of course, the legal aid bill is one of those contributory factors. It's not the biggest contributory factor, housing and accommodation is.
Yeah.
But whatever happens, people should be rightly angry that we have a system where it's all carrot and no stick.
But also, crucially, these cases get resolved. We've had predictions, haven't we, from asylum agencies and many in the Labour Party. They're actually going to approve a lot of these people. They're going to get them off the backlog by just approving them, not necessarily as being genuine asylum seekers, but giving them leave to stay, at which point they no longer have to provide them with accommodation. They're then sort of free to go and work and the like. But the reality is, these are, young men, often don't speak English well. They haven't got any particular skills. What jobs do we think they're going to do where we're not going to have to be paying top-up benefits like housing for them?
Oh, of course, we know what jobs that they're going to do. The government wants them to be drivers for the large companies like Amazon and DHL. They want them to get into the food industry, security, doormen. Obviously,
Brilliant.
there's an awful lot of barbers out there at the moment. You can look at, but 4 or 5, 6 Turkish barbers in every small town across the country. For some reason, the Treasury thinks that every one of these coming over are going to be genius scientists working in IT, providing the services that they want in shops across the country. And the reality is, we know through the Office of Budget Relations that it now costs us a lot more to actually have these young men here.
Yeah,
hundreds of millions of pounds by the time they're invested.
And the bill's about to go up. Stephen Woolfe, thank you very much for joining us, talking us through that. The Director of the Centre for Migration and Economic Prosperity. Get Claire's thoughts on that